Namaskara. In this video, we will look at the incorrect usage of Shatru and Shanach Krit Pratyayas, which are being incorrectly used to form the sentences which are thought to be in the present continuous tense. Something like Saha Karyam Kurvan Asti or Aham Pustakam Pathan Asmi. Vargaha pravartamanaha asti, something like this sentences, why they are incorrect and how to form these sentences correctly. So here we'll see some examples. So you might be familiar with the Shatru and Shanach Pratyayanta Padani, or the words here. We know that Shatru and Shanach Pratyayanta words, they're used as Visheshanam. For example, here on the left side, we see Grantham Pathan Balaha Upavishati. Second one is Grantham Pathantam Balam Pashyatu. Then Grantham Pathata Balakena Saha Milami. Grantham Pathate Balakaya Lekhanim Dadami. Bhojanam Kurvanaha Balaha Jalam Pibati. In this, there's a Kurvana is the Shanajanta Padam. Anantaram Adya Pravartamane Varge Chhatraha Gayanti. So in these sentences, as you see, the first sentence, Pathan is a Visheshanam for Balaha because it is in the Prathama Vibhakti. In the second one, Pathantam Balam, Pathantam is a Visheshanam for Balam. Third one is Pathata Balakena. There it is the also Pathata is a Visheshanam for Balakena. Both are in Tritiya Vibhakti. In the fourth one, there is a Pathate Balakaya. In this, Patate is the Chaturthi Bhakti and Balakaya is also in Chaturthi. So Patate is the Visheshanam for Balakaya. Then the next one is Bhojanam Kurvanaha Balaha Jalam Pibati. Here Kurvanaha is the Shanajanta Padam. It is in the Prathama Bhakti as the Visheshanam to Balaha. Then the last one, Adya Pravartamane Varge Chhatraha Gayanti. In this, Pravartamane, the Saptame Bhakti, being a Visheshanam to Varge, which is also in the Saptami Bhakti. So some examples are here which demonstrate the use of Shatru or Shanach Anta Padam as a Visheshanam in a sentence. Now if we break this, each of these sentences, now on the right hand side you see here, the first one example you see Grantham Pathan Balaha Upavishati. So what is happening here? Actually there are two actions happening. One is the indicated by this Upavishati, right? Upavishati. So Balaha Upavishati is one action happening. The other action happening is Balaha Pathati, because there is Pathan Balaha. What kind of Balaha? What kind of boy is there? Boy is reading. So that is indicated by Pathan Balaha. So if we break this sentence into two sub-sentences, on the right hand side you see here Balaha Grantham Pathati is one sentence indicating or representing one action, the reading action, Pathana Kriya. Then there is a second sentence here, Saha Upavishati, Balaha Upavishati. So these two sentences are combined to form one sentence, Grantham Pathan Balaha Upavishati. Similarly, the other sentences are also can be broken down here or made into two sentences, each one showing those actions. The second one, for example, Grantham Pathantam Balam Pashyatu. So here, Balaha Grantham Pathati, because Bala is reading the book, the boy is reading the book. Then the second sentence is Tam or Tam Balakam Pashyatu. So look at that boy. The boy is reading the book, and the second sentence says, look at that boy. So together we are forming Grantham Pathantam Balam Pashyatu. Similarly, the third one has Grantham patata balakena sah milami. This can be broken down into Balaha Grantham Patati Tena Saha Milami. Fourth one also Balaha Grantham Patati Tasmai Balakaya Lekhanim Dadami. So these two are combined into one sentence using the Patate as the Visheshanam there, indicating the state of the boy at the time of me giving the Lekhani or the pen to that boy. At that boy, the Bala is, or the boy is reading. So each of these sentences indicate a kriya or an action happening when the boy is reading the book, in the state of reading the book. So those are the four sentences. And if you look at the fifth one, Bhojanam kurvanaha balaha jalam pibati, this can be broken down into balaha bhojanam karoti, and at the same time saha jalam pibati. So here two actions are happening at the same time. When the boy is eating the food, at the same time he is drinking the water. So this is indicated by either two sentences on the right side or converted into one sentence, Bhojanam kurvanaha balaha. So kurvanaha now changing to Visheshanam, being the Visheshanam there. Now the last one, Adya pravartamane varge. So here also it can be broken into two sentences. Adya varga pravartate. Today the class is happening, and tasmin varge chhatraha gayanti. In that class, students are singing. So here again two actions, pravartate and gayanti. So these actions, if we bring them into one sentence, the pravartate can be changed to a visheshanam to varga. So it becomes adya pravartamane varge chhatraha gayanti. In the class which is happening today, the students are singing, or students sing. So these are the examples of Shatru and Shanach Pratyayanta Shabdas or words which are used as a Visheshanam or adjective to those respective nouns or Namapadas in those sentences. Now, having looked at some of the examples or sentences which use Shatru and Shanach Pratyaya ending words in sentences, and how to break them into two sub-sentences, because two actions are happening at the same time. So we broke them down into two smaller or sub-sentences, indicating each sub-sentence indicating one particular action happening. Now note that, remember that Shatru Pratyaya is used or applied to Parasmaipadi dhatus, and Shanach Pratyaya is applied to Atmanepadi dhatus. And when they are applied to these dhatus, dhatu becomes Namapadam, and it is used as a Visheshanam. Now, those examples we saw. Now, let's look at some examples here, how the Shatru Shanach Pratyaya ending words are being incorrectly used in the sentences in an attempt to represent a present continuous tense. Means something like we are reading a book, or somebody is writing a poem, or something like that. Some examples we'll see here. Vayam, for example, the first one, Vayam Vyakaranam Patantah Smaha. If we want to say we are reading, or we are reading or studying grammar. So to say that, sometimes we hear this kind of sentence, Vayam Vyakaranam Patantah Smaha. Second one, Sa Sanganaka Kshetre Karyam Kurvanti Asti. To say that she is working in the field of computers. To say that, again, we hear this kind of sentence formations सा संगणकक्षेत्रे कार्यं कुर्वन्ती अस्ति, or aham sanganakakshetre karyam kurvan asmi, like this. If we follow the same principle what we did in the last slide of breaking the sentences into two sub sentences, each one indicating the action that is happening in say in concurrence at the same time with the other action. So first one, vayam vyakaranam patantah smaha. Here, what is happening? Which are the two actions happening here? One is patana kriya, that is obvious. That is, we are reading the grammar book. And what is the other kriya? Other kriya padam here, smaha. Smaha is asti staha asti staha santi asmi swaha smaha. So that is uttama purusha bahuvachanam smaha. So here, if we break this into two sentences, the first one becomes vayam vyakaranam pathamaha. So that pathantaha is a visheshanam to vayam, and we convert that into a kriyapadam, it becomes pathamaha. And the second sentence, because there is a smaha there, it becomes vayam smaha, means we exist, we are. So the first part says vayam vyakaranam pathamaha, we read or we are reading the grammar, and the second sentence becomes vayam smaha, we are. So which doesn't make any sense. The second sentence, we are, is what is redundant. So it doesn't convey any additional, or it doesn't add any additional value. It doesn't convey any additional meaning here. So what we want to convey, we are reading the grammar that is already indicated by this vayam vyakaranam pathamaha, that sentence. Now the second one, similarly, sa sanganaka kshetre karyam kurvanti asti. Here also, sa sanganaka kshetre karyam karoti is one part, and then asti part, we break it down into second sub-sentence, sa asti. So here, what happens? The first sentence means, sa sanganaka kshetre karyam karoti, she is working in the field of computer. Then second one is sa asti, she is or she exists. So again, this is useless addition here. So the third one, similarly, vargaha pravartamanaha asti. Here we have this shana janta padam pravartamanaha. So when some class is going on, you might hear this kind of sentence formation, vargaha pravartamanaha asti. Asmakam vargaha pravartamanaha asti. So that is, again, if you break that into two parts, vargaha pravartate, varga is going on, and then the second one is vargaha asti, which is obviously for no reason it is added there. Then similarly, atithihi bhashamanaha asti, atithihi bhashate, and then atithihi asti. So as you see here, the second part is redundant. Atithihi asti, vargaha asti, etc. Same, bhavan kutra gachan asti, if you want to ask, where are you going? Bhavan kutra gachan asti. These kind of sentences we hear. But what exactly happening here? Bhavan kutra gacchati is the first part, and bhavan asti is the second part, because gachan is the visheshanam for bhavan, and asti is a second kriya padam here. So if you break it down here, bhavan kutra gacchati is one part. So where are you going? And bhavan asti, you are. So this again doesn't make sense there, the second sentence. So last one, kati chhatraha vidyamanaha santi. So how many students are there, are present in the varga? So the speaker wants to ask that question, thinking that currently how many are there? Again, if you break this sentence into two parts, kati chhatraha vidyante, how many students are there, and kati chhatraha santi, again the same meaning, kati chhatraha santi. So that is again redundant there. So because vidyate and asti both have the similar meaning, there are kati chhatraha santi, so it doesn't make any sense to add that part. So having looked at these kind of sub-sentences which are redundant here, the second part with asti part. Let's see how to correctly form the sentences to convey these, what we want to convey as a present tense here. Now, let's look at how to form the sentences to convey what is thought of as the present continuous tense. Note that every language has a different grammatical structure. So some of the languages have this distinction between the present tense and the present continuous tense, which is not there in Sanskrit language. This is an important thing to know. That so because if you want to say she is working in the field of computers, or I am reading a book. When I say I am reading the book, I read the book, there is a distinction in English language, or maybe in some other language also, indicate that currently at this point, at this moment, I am actually doing the work of reading the book. But in Sanskritam, there is only one Vartamana Kala or present tense. There is no distinction of present continuous tense. Now the question arises, how do we actually represent that kind of feeling here, or that kind of sense? How do we bring it here? And the problem is that when most of us, we come from this background of different language where there's a present continuous kind of thing is there. So when we are studying Sanskrit language, or when we are trying to use the Sanskrit language in speech, talking, or while writing anywhere, so we try to impose those grammatical structure over on top of this Sanskrit language. So that is the problem here. So we should not try to impose those kind of structures into another language. So the language, how these kind of things, or how this grammatical structure is there in the Sanskrit language, how these usages are there in the Sanskrit language, in that language only we should use, we should practice those kind of usages which are in that language. So then only that is the correct use of language. Otherwise, we'll be just forming, it's like a translation. We are just using this words which are in the Sanskrit vocabulary, and then using them in a different grammatical structure which is not native to this language. So to avoid that, how to bring out that kind of meaning? Let's see that. First one, Vayam Vyakaranam Patantah Smaha. So here the speaker is trying to say we are currently reading the grammar, the subject of grammar. So here we in Sanskritam we put it as Vayam Vyakaranasya Pathane Nirataha Adhuna. Nirataha Smaha. Here the Smaha can be used. Adhuna can be optionally added. Adhuna meaning Idanim or now. So here what it says is we, Vayam, Vyakaranasya Patane or Vyakaranasya Adhyayane, in the study of Vyakarana, Nirataha, we are busy or we are involved in that study. So this is how it has to be put here, not like Vayam Vyakaranam Patanta Smaha, because Patantaha meaning that it is a present tense and it is a Visheshanam, it is continuous present tense. There is no such concept in Sanskritam. The second one, Sa Sanganaka Kshetre Karyam Kurvanti Asti. So here also this is an incorrect formation. So on the right hand side you see Sa Sanganaka Kshetre Karyam Karoti. That's enough there. She is working. That actually Karoti itself means it is a Vartamana Kala. In Sanskritam it means she works or she is working. Both are correct depending on the context there. However, if you convert that, it can be converted and alternatively can be used as Sa Sanganaka Kshetre Karyarata Asti. She is busy. I mean, we don't have to literally translate it. That's the problem now. So we forget the other language, whether it is English or anywhere, any other language, where such kind of usages are there, and we can stick to what is the right way of using it in Sanskritam. We don't have to again translate mentally each and every word, what that karyarata means, what exactly nirata means. It is busy, but busy doesn't indicate actually the present continuous. No, here it does, and this is how it is. Its usage is there like this. Sa sanganaka kshetre karyam karoti or sa sanganaka kshetre karyarata asti. The third one is vargaha pravartamana asti. This is a very common mistake. So good way to put that is, or the right way to put that is, vargaha prachalitaha asti. As you see here, prachalitaha asti, indicating its current state is prachalita, means it is in progress. That adding asti is there, we are emphasizing the present tense of prachalita. Currently it is in progress. Vargaha prachalitaha asti. So as you see on the top also, first one nirata, and then karyarata, prachalita. Here we are using the another krut pratyaya, the ta pratyaya, to indicate the state of the namapad here, or the subject here. So vayam nirataha. So here also nirata is visheshanam, but it is indicating the current status of us. Vayam. Vayam nirataha. Kasmin nirataha. Pathane nirataha. Kasya pathane nirataha. Vyakaranapasya pathane nirataha. Sa sanganaka kshetre karyam karoti. Karyarata asti. Sa katham asti. Sa kidrushi asti. Sa karyarata asti. Kasmin karyarata asti. Sanganaka kshetre karyarata asti. Vargaha कीदृशः अस्ति वर्गः प्रचलितः अस्ति. So these are the right ways to put these sentences. Now atitihi bhashamana asti. Here also atitihi bhashate, that's enough. But otherwise still, if we really want to use this kind of sentence, atitihi bhashamanam prachalitam vartate. The bhashana or the lecture of Atiti is going on. Prachalitam is in the state of progress. Prachalitam. So you can use that. Atitehe bhashanam prachalitam vartate. The next one is Bhavan kutra gachan asti. So where are you going? To say it correctly, we have Bhavan kutra prasthitah asti. Here prasthita means going or leaving for. Bhavan kutra prasthitah asti. So here also prasthita being in the ta pratyaya. We are using that, indicating the state of the person or the thing there. Last one, kati chhatraha vidyamana santi. Here, the santi is of no use here. Just to use kati chhatraha vidyante. Kati chhatraha vidyante upasthitaha santi. So again, we can use upasthitaha, another word indicating the state. Kati chhatraha upasthitaha santi idanim. So these kind of alternate structures, sentence structures should be used for the, that is the right way of using the sentences and avoiding these incorrect usages of shatra and shanach pratyas to indicate the present continuous tense. Now this asti, smaha, note that these are asti, as dhatu is actually used as like a filler. It's not a, it doesn't actually indicate any kriya as such. That's why it is failing here. That trying to add that asti and santi, asmi, etc. If we break that into two different parts, those sub parts, vayam vyakaranam pathamaha, vayam smaha. That smaha is it's a redundant part. So because asdhatu is generally used as a adhyahara, or to complete a sentence where the verb is not used. So it is not actually indicating any certain kriya. That's why these kind of usages are not right, and which are shown on the left side. These kind of usages are nowhere seen in the Sanskrit usage literature. It has come only recently because of the influence of other foreign languages. Not only foreign languages, there are regional languages also where these kind of present continuous forms, grammatical structures are used. So those are being reimposed on Sanskritam now, which is incorrect. Now, what about the past continuous tense kind of sentences? Many times we hear the sentences like Vayam Vyakaranam Patantha Asma. We were reading the grammar. Sa Sanganaka Kshetre Karyam Kurvanti Asit. She was working in the field of computers. So what we are trying to do here is first we form the sentence in a different language, for example English, thinking that we want to say she was working in the field of computer. Now that we translate that word to word, sa sanganaka kshetre karyam kurvanti asit. This is totally disregarding the Sanskrit structure, Sanskrit language structure of the Sanskrit language, and this is just a translation of the thoughts of from other languages. So again, avoiding this, the correct usages in Sanskritam for the past continuous tense, there is a very beautiful way to do that using the sma. The sma added to the Vartamana Kala form of a Kriyapadam. That changes it into Bhutakala in the sense of past continuous or used to kind of thing. So for example, the first one, Vayam Vyakaranam Patanta Asma. So this one, we were reading the grammar. So how do we convert this? How do we want to say this correctly? Vayam Vyakaranam Pathamah Smaha. So Vayam Vyakaranam Pathamah. Only that one says we are reading the grammar, but when we add sma, just sma, not smaha, sma, just sma, this is an avayam. When we add sma, so that changes that patama, the sentence, to bhutakala in the bhutakala, the past continuous or the used to. So we were studying the grammar, or we used to study the grammar. In that sense, vayam vyakaranam patama sma is used. Similarly, the next one, sa sanganaka kshetre karyam kurvanti asit. So this one, sa sanganaka kshetre karyam karoti sma. So this is simple. We don't need to use this kurvanti asit, vargah pravartamana asit, these kind of sentences. So we have this vargah prachalitaha asit, and then atithihi bhashate sma. Or then Bhavan Kutra Gachanna Asit. Instead of that, we have Bhavan Kutra Gacchati Sma. And Kati Chhatraha Vidyamanaha Asan, Kati Chhatraha Asan. These are simpler way to for the right usage, using it correctly in the Sanskrit language. So these Shatranta and Shanajanta words, they are to be used as Visheshanam to another Namapadam most of the times, and they should not be used with asti or asit to form the sentences in the present continuous or past continuous sense. So we looked at some of the examples and how to represent them correctly. So hope this helped. Thank you. Dhanyavadaha.